So I just got back from the first 2026 film that I caught this year, which is Primate, a horror creature feature written and directed by Johannes Roberts. His most well-known works being the 47 Meters Down movies. But with this film, we're shown the lives of a very well-off family who own a pet chimpanzee. The chimp eventually contracting rabies and turning on the family, turning their home into a bloodbath war zone. A reasonably simple premise that achieves everything I think it aims to do. The main allure of this film, of course, being the chimpanzee named Ben. Roberts employed several different methods to bring Ben to life, using a mixture of puppets, animatronics, and actors in suits depending on what the scene best called for, and cleaned up with CGI when needed, which in itself does deserve a certain level of respect. And while the use of practical effects, while sometimes noticeable, adds a layer of charm to the film, also requiring the film to stay a little bit more grounded as a result. Also often requiring dark sets and low lighting as to not take away from the practical imperfections while in motion, and none of this stuff is to its detriment, of course. We really don't get too much introduction to Ben before he goes apeshit, so I feel it lacks a sort of he's part of the family, why is he doing this feeling that I feel they were going for, which also applies to all characters when it comes to lack of depth. But for what kind of film this is, flat characters aren't going to take you out of the experience. Hell, one praise I have for this film is it sets up a lot of early relationships and a lot of early love triangles type relationships just for the characters in the love triangles to get picked off very early on into the film. And at the end of the day, we are dealing with a teleporting jump scare Michael Myers monkey. There's so many unneeded jump scares in this. The horror built around the ape in this film was definitely going for a more, like I said earlier, creature feature approach, which got me thinking. There's another horror film that came out semi-recently with a killer ape in it. While not the main attraction of Jordan Peele's 2022 film Nope, the chimpanzee named Gordy has much more of a lasting effect on the psyche, at least for me personally, and I was wondering why that was. Gordy's screen time in the film is roughly 6 minutes, yet leaves the viewer with a much more memorable impact than almost 45 minutes of Ben's screen time in Primate. I believe this boils down to two things, and that is creature design and atmosphere. Whereas we see every little movement and kill that Ben does, most of the violence of Gordy's attack is off-screen, letting the viewer kind of fill in the gaps, which is more effective. Just giving us sounds here and there, letting us kind of infer the worst of the carnage. And when it comes to creature design, Ben is more monstrous and crazed, growing more grotesque as the film progresses, which does have its own scare factor, of course. Gordy's scene, on the other hand, leans more towards the uncanny. No quick movements, no jump scares, just him staring at the camera, staring a hole through the viewer. And I gotta say, in that moment, I don't think I've ever been so tense in a theater setting before. And while Primate does have its share of tense moments, it's usually very short-lived and interrupted by a jump scare, not letting the viewer kind of sit with that scary feeling. And Gordy's scene scared me so much back in 2022 that I was genuinely wondering if I have a fear of apes or if that scene is just shot wonderfully. And I think I've come to the conclusion that that Gordy scene is just terrifying. I never got that primal fear feeling in Primate that I received in Nope. As far as Ben goes, like I said before, we don't see much of him before he went crazy, which I think would be slightly beneficial because he does come off as more of a sadistic wild animal rather than a pet that's sick. I do suppose that might put the pacing at risk. With a runtime of just under an hour and a half, adding something like that would risk bloating the film and taking away from its fairly clean experience. Overall, I did enjoy the film. It had a lot of things to like, a lot of pretty good kills. With the premise being wild ape ripping people apart, it was a little more tame than I thought it would be, except for one kill in particular. That one was crazy. The gore on display was pretty gnarly, like I said, especially with that one kill. The setting was very unique. I think it used water very well. It really kind of exploits the hydrophobia angle. The performance from deaf actor Troy Koutser played very well in this film, giving it a very heavy family communication theme. In conclusion, I did enjoy this. It was a lot of fun. It was just missing that horror side of things, I think. I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10, kind of middle of the road.